What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star Off guide, and as we are just about to get the Planar Ornament raid double drop, at least on NA, about the time I'm recording this video, there's about an hour-ish, a little more. It's already out on EU and Asia servers, so definitely keep that noted. Then I'm going to be taking you over each world and giving my opinion on which one is more valuable to farm, and we'll give what I do think on each world so you can farm efficiently. We'll also be talking about near coming characters, so just in case you're looking to farm for someone else that may be coming in the future, there will be some important notes for you in this video as well. That's all I want to say. If you guys find this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, drop a like, would be greatly appreciated. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Wars content. Check the description for my second channel and also to join the Discord, and let's get straight into the video. So starting it off with the first world, which is pretty much just World 3, which is similar to the previous simulated universe before we had Divergent Universes. It's not called Worlds here, but when I refer to World, it's just going from World 3 and up, so World 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. But yeah, the first world, which would be World 3, heard of Space Sealing Station and also Fleet of the Ageless. I do not recommend farming this personally because Space Sealing Station is never the best option to use for a DPS. It's just a 24% attack increase if you do have 120 speed or higher, and there's so many better options to use now. Ageless is still very powerful. With the max HP it does provide, once you do have 120 speed or higher, giving everyone 8% attack. This is still good, but it's definitely better to farm something else that can give you more bang for your buck, because practically the first part does get useless because you just kind of use the better options, because no one will ever have this as the best in slot. This is kind of just a filler you do use until you have the better option. While Aegis is better to just make these with relic remains, and now that we can salvage leveled up relics to get more relic remains, it's even easier, so I definitely recommend just going to the relic creation for the Ageless set. As for World 4, which has Talia and also Vonwacq, this world is a pretty efficient world if you do have someone that can actually benefit from Talia. So there are mainly just Bootil, Linksha in some cases. Practically just any break related character will be benefiting from this, because up to a 36% increase in break effect is really good, reaching 145 speed or higher. This is Bootil's best in slot. It's Linksha's if you're not running her with Firefly or the enemies do not have fire weakness, because another set becomes better in that case. It's also the best in slot for characters like Jiaoqiu. Practically any break character that isn't Firefly, or in battles where you're not taking the break character up against a fire weakness and you don't want to change the Planar Ornament every time, this will be the best. And when it comes to Vonwacq, this is just an overall very broken set. Whether you're someone who wants a zero cycle, whether you're someone that just wants to have the first turn and have your support start right away, or your debuffer set up right away, such as Jiaoqiu and so on. 5% energy regeneration rate is nice, and once you have 120 speed or higher at the start of the battle, the wearer gains an action forward by 40%. So fantastic to set up your buffs really fast. Great on characters like Jiaoqiu, so you can easily get the ultimate practically right away. Robin, so you can push her up and have her act before anyone else when characters are getting really fast. She does have an action forward in her kit already, but she still can use this because of the energy, and then with the extra advanced forward, she will guaranteed outspeed anyone in her team. A lot of other supports, if you want them to go right away, can benefit from this. Practically just any Harmony support in certain cases will be benefiting from this. A lot of setups for fast cycle clears is going to use Vonwacq as well overall, so if you are in cases where you can use both, which is pretty common considering how many break characters can use this and how common break is now and how many supports can use Vonwacq, World 4 is a great option to farm. World 5, which consists of the Pan-Cosmic set and also the Celestial Differentiator. So I do not recommend farming this world because the Pan-Cosmic set, while is pretty good, characters that do scale off the effect hit rate, this is some of their best in slots, such as Black Swan or even someone like Welt at times, Winnifin, so on and so forth, giving up to a 25% attack equal to the amount of effect hit rate and also providing 10% effect hit rate. This is pretty good, but this is another option you would use to just pretty much just make the pieces instead, because the other option you're dealing with is Celestial Differentiator, which I'm not even gonna bother reading it because it just, you know, you get crit rate for the first attack in battle and you also get 60% crit damage, which is like whatever. This ornament is complete and utter garbage. You will never actually be using this on anyone. No one has this as the best in slot. Probably no one will ever have this as the best in slot, so I definitely recommend you just salvage this anyways. So it's best to just make Pan Cosmic through just the relic remains and get the pieces that way. So overall, World 5 would not recommend it. Now, World 6 consists of the Belobog set and also Inert Salsotto. Usually I would recommend running this if you do want Salsotto pieces a lot, but as there is a slightly better option for Salsotto now for the main target of this option. The only reason I don't really recommend it now is because the Belobog set is really only good on two characters, being Japard and the Fire MC, since it increases defense by 15%, and when the wearer's effect hit rate is 50% or higher, it gains an extra 15% defense. It's really an option you do use on those two because the Fire MC needs effect hit rate for the taunt and Japard needs the effect hit rate for the actual freeze. In those cases, they can easily get the full 30% defense this does provide, making it good. But not everyone is going to be using the Fire MC, especially since the Fire MC has fallen off very, very hard. And the Harmony MC and Remembrance MC is the one you're going to be mainly using now, so you can never really use the Fire MC. Gepard, that's an option you can use it on, but Gepard is getting a lot weaker, and we have a lot of characters like Aventurine now, and just better sustains in general, so not everyone's going to be using him either. So overall, the value of this set is not good. And Salsotto is still very, very good. It doesn't fall off too much compared to the better option, and it's still some great things for someone like Acheron as well. Since if you have enough crit rate on Acheron compared to the other set, Salsotto can outperform it, which provides you an 8% increase in crit rate, and once you do a 50% or higher crit rate, you get a 15% damage dealt increase for ultimate and follow-up. Mainly, you would use this on any follow-up character, so the problem with farming this specifically is there's just a better set you can't farm. And when it comes to the people that would do mainly ultimate damage, it's still good on them as well, but some of them will be opting to use something like Glamoth or a different set entirely now. So while Salsotto is still really good, it is usually just better options available to you. And so overall, I would not recommend farming World 6 as the value of it has gone down. World 7, consisting of Rutilant Arena and Broken Keel, this is still a very, very valuable World 2 farm. As Rutilant Arena, anyone that mainly does their damage on basic attack and skill will benefit from this, as it provides 8% crit rate, and when the worst crit rate reaches 70% or higher crit rate, increases damage dealt by basic attack and skill by 20%. So characters like Danheng, Jinglu, any future characters that are mainly going to be related to doing basic attack and skill, or even as a placeholder for those characters who maybe have a new set or maybe are getting a new set, just because it's a very powerful increase to either or of their main sources of damage. So if you have one of the characters existing or there's a future character coming out that will be doing mainly basic attack or skill damage, this would still hold up to be a very, very powerful set. And then when it comes to Broken Keel, this is still one of the best support sets in the game. 10% effect res, and once you have 30 or higher effect res, gives everyone 10% crit damage. Free support, giving you more effect res, and being built with more effect res will let you get CC'd less. Once you have 30% or higher, you give everyone crit damage. So for any crit damage DPS, you're going to be benefiting from that a bunch. Not really much to talk about Broken Keel. It's still one of the best support sets you can use to this day. And so overall, World 7 is a very valuable one to farm. World 8 is still a pretty good option as well, since Glamoth to any DPS that can even just hit 135 speed for the extra 12% more damage is still good. 12% attack on top of that, and if you can actually hit 160 speed in battle, you get 18% more damage total, which is very, very high. Usually characters that can break that end up having this as their best in slot. If they do especially reach the 160 threshold, then they would benefit from the more damage, and they also benefit from the attack percent. This usually ends up being a pretty good gap between the best in slot and not. And when it comes to Penacony set, this set is still good in elements where you would kind of share that. That's why it's kind of niche, but still can work. So 5% energy regeneration rate and increases damage by 10% for all other allies that are the same type as the wearer. So you put this on your support / debuffer, and you need the main DPS to follow that same kind of type. And that's not too common right now, so it'd be practically something like putting this on Sunday and running someone like Danheng. Another perfect example is putting this on Sunday and having someone like Midday, who's going to be coming out soon because he's also imaginary and they work good together. Or cases like Silverwolf, you put this on Silverwolf and run her along someone like Zayla or QQ, and so on and so forth. In those cases, this becomes a really good supportive set, but it's a little more restrictive as opposed to the other ones where you just need to hit a certain stat rather than a certain type. So the value can be a bit down on this, but in times where you can use it, it's actually very powerful. So overall, making World 8 a situationally really good option to farm. World 9 being the Unclaimed Desolation set and also the Izumo set. Unclaimed Desolation is practically the best if you're ever able to stack it up fully, so pretty much exclusively in Pure Fiction, giving you 4% crit rate and up to 40% crit damage. In Pure Fiction, this is easily the best, but my only issue with this set is the fact that do you really need to switch to this set just for Pure Fiction characters and just to have them quickly defeat enemies and gain the full stacks, because usually there are other options that is going to be better in something like MLC or Apocalyptic Shadow will be perfect enough to clear MLC anyway. So a perfect example is the new character, the Herda. She's going to have another set that's going to be better for something like Apocalyptic Shadow and also Memory of Chaos. And she's very, very broken in all three modes, but she's especially broken in Pure Fiction. But she's already going to steamroll it with her other better options that work better in the other ones. So do you really need to always switch to Unclaimed Desolation for the full buff? Which is the whole reason I don't really recommend farming this one specifically. And when it comes to Izumo, this is also gaining more value. 12% crit rate, and if someone follows the same path as the wearer gains 12% crit rate. This is really only used when you were using it on someone like Feixiao or Topaz or like Mo, someone that follows the same path. So Acheron will always need another Nihility character. So this was something you could use on her and is one of her best in slots. Only other time you could really use it is if you were running Feixiao or someone like Ratio and running another Hunt character, which was very common. But now as we do have the Hera, she's another character that can use this because she always will want you to run another Erudition character. And so the value of this ornament does become pretty high thanks to the fact that there is pretty much now 3 top tier teams that can use it. So it's a good option if you have one of those. And so overall, this world is not the highest value. I definitely recommend just making the Izumo set with your Relic Remains. As again, the Unclaimed Desolation set, it's good, but it's still not really worth just switching to Purification set every time you do go in that mode, since usually other sets can still easily clear in that mode. And so I definitely recommend just using your Relic Remains to make the Izumo set, and not farm this world and farm something else specifically. As for quote-unquote World 10, which has the Duran set and also the Forge set, so this is a really good world situationally, as well as the Duran set is the new best for every follow-up attack character, as it gives you up to a 25% increase to follow-up damage, and also once you have 5 stacks you get an additional 25% increase to crit damage. For follow-up characters, Duran always will pull ahead of Salsotto when it is fully stacked, and it is pretty easy to stack it up on teams these days where people do use Duran on. On the follow-up team, you'll be able to stack this up nearly instantly with someone like Yulni or Clara that can easily stack it up as well. It's just really easy to stack this up because this does also count for the wear. It says just an ally, but the wear also counts, and you get 25% increase to follow-up damage and 25% increase to crit damage. So it's just such a strong set, so any follow-up character is usually always going to use this. And then when it comes to the Forge set, this is technically the best for every single break character if they do have a fire weakness. Usually always you use someone like Lingsha with Firefly, and Firefly, this is easier best in slot since she can implant fire weakness, 6% speed, and hitting someone with fire weakness gives the wearer a 40% increase in break effect for 1 turn. Firefly will always be able to make use of this. Lingsha on a Firefly team will also be able to make use of this. Same thing with Gallagher. And if you want to be really optimal, which is still the same issue with something like the Unclaimed Desolation set, which I was mentioning, I don't know if you'd always want to switch to this set just if the enemies do have fire weakness, because then you can put this on someone like Buto, who also would have a big benefit from this because it is better than Talia, gives more break effect than Talia does, plus 6% speed. But the issue is Buto doesn't implant fire weakness, it would have to always have fire weakness, so you have to check to go in. And I don't think everyone would want to do that, so that's why this can be situationally very important to farm, or it can be something that's more useless to farm. So if you're not someone that has like Firefly, Gallagher, Lingsha, and also someone like Himiko, then it's not too valuable to farm, but a lot of players do now have those characters and do want to build them, so most cases this is going to be a valuable set as well. So if you're someone that has follow-up characters and also the break characters, this is one of the most efficient worlds you can farm. But if you're missing one or the other, then it's better to just use your Relic Remains and farm something else. And then the final world, which consists of the Lushaka set and also the BananAmusement set. So Lushaka is another best for practically every support as well. When you are pairing them with someone that is a hyper carry that benefits from attack, 5% energy regeneration rate is great, and when the wearer is not positioned first in the team lineup, increases the attack of the first character in the team lineup by 12%. Again, energy regen rate is going to be great, so your supports can get ultimate faster. You can also put this on some sub-DPSs like Jiaoqiu or Welt in certain cases. Not position them first, position your hyper carry first, which is usually how it always goes, and then now that hyper carry gets 12% attack. Best part is this also can stack. So if you are running a hyper carry that benefits from the attack buff, you can put this on the support, and this is going to be a fantastic set to do, sometimes even the best, which is pretty often. Just do know if your character is a HP scaling character, so if they scale off HP, this will be useless for the most part because they don't do the damage off their attack, so the extra attack is useless. But a lot of common characters, so Feixiao, Acheron, Yunli, so on and so forth, can benefit from the attack percent set, so Lushaka is great. And when it comes to BananAmusement, this set is a little more niche, as it's practically only going to be used by Jingwan and also the upcoming character Aglia. 16% crit damage, and when a target is summoned by the wearers on the field, crit damage additionally increases by 32%, giving you up to a 48% increase to crit damage. Very, very high, and is practically only used for Jingwan and Aglia. You can also use it on a crit Lingsha though if you are doing that, because crit Lingsha is pretty strong. You can also use it on Topaz, but Duran is better for Topaz. So it situationally becomes if you're someone that uses Jingwan or you are going to get Aglia. If you are going to get one of them, then this can become something you do farm. Since if you are getting one of those two, then you can use both sets, and then having both sets be a farm thing is going to be great, because the whole thing is you want to have 2 sets that are going to be good for either or. So it becomes very efficient to use double drops. Now you may ask, what about someone like Castrus, who's going to potentially be another character that's going to be summoning like Aglia? does seem like she's going to get another set that I will talk about a bit shortly at the outro. So unfortunately, this is practically going to be the thing you do exclusively on Jing 1 and Aglia. So in that case, this world can be very efficient, but if you're missing one or the other, then it's a bit less. So let's say you're missing BananAmusement, it still could be good for something in the future. At least Lushaka is so valuable to the point you can still efficiently farm this, and you can just convert the rest of Relic remains for something else or more Lushaka pieces. And that is every world and whether I recommend them and some notes you should consider when farming them. So first, I want to be talking about the characters that are coming up. I want to let you guys know now for Aglia, this is definitely going to be her best in slot to run. When considering someone like Tribi as she is a support, you definitely are going to run something like a supportive set, so Broken Keel, Ageless. If she's a DPS support, you can also do something that buffs her. That would vastly depend. If you're doing something like a dual harmony setup, you can do something like Izumo even. That's a little more specific that I will save for a build guide at a later date. When it comes to mid-A, I don't recommend farming anything specifically for mid-A, as there will be a new Planar Ornament that will be his best in slot, and same thing does apply to Casters. That one that's going to be best for mid-A will be best for Casters as well, and potentially also Blade in that matter. So if you're farming for any of those characters, I definitely recommend waiting, but if it's Aglia, you can just easily farm this. So note that for new characters. But yeah, once again, hope you guys found the video helpful. Peace out.